Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to another session of Relationship CPR, A Soulful Connection. This session will be recorded. Just a reminder, Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. We are on the 7th module, almost towards the end. So we will be looking into the psyche, map of the psyche. We started that one and we will be inshallah finishing with that one and then some exercises. Just checking how much I have. Completed. Probably conscious identity and roles. Yeah. Not sure if maybe I'll just recap the conscious identity in case I've done that already. Can't remember. So the first layer of the psyche was our ideal self that we want to be, the best self that we put forward to people, our and our inner critic as well. And the second layer is the conscious identity and the roles that we play. I feel like I have touched on this. It's who I am. What are my attributes? What's my job title? What's my relationship name? Like daughter, mother, wife, that sort of relationship title, job title. I'm a teacher, I'm a therapist. And then these are all pride-based. I feel maybe good about it. I feel like boasting about it. So that's the conscious identity, the identity that we consciously recognize. And ideal self-image we want to perpetuate. And we think this is who we are. But the complexity arises when we identify with our shame-based beliefs as we are, because we are too frightened to own our potential and our capacity and our strength. So some people will feel safer to have a conscious identity of being the bad person, not lovable. I'm a deficient person. I'm not important person. And that becomes their conscious identity, even though it's shame-based, not pride-based. It might give them a certain level of predictability, because if in my core belief, I'm bad, then this is predictable. People do not have to expect from me. And then I can live in my comfort zone, my mediocrity. I don't have to challenge myself, because challenging myself becomes uncertainty. I don't know if I will be able to win whatever I set my goal as. And if I don't win, then that would be embarrassment, yet another embarrassment. So I'll just be in the shame of knowing that I'm bad. And so that becomes my self-identity or conscious identity. And then we hold on to that identity because it gives us certainty of who I am. And the agenda of the conscious identity, conscious mind, which is the ego. Ego's job is to protect me, protect my identity, give safety, make me feel safe, give me certainty, give me predictability, give me control, give me belonging. Because if I challenge myself too much, or then I might not belong with a group of people. If I want to change, then the group of people I hang out with, they will abandon me. So I want to make sure I'm loved and I belong. And of course, ego's job is to give us satisfaction and pleasure. So whatever is pleasurable, whatever is satisfying, even though it's to my detriment, I might keep doing it. So that is ego. Ego, in general term, in general language, we mean ego is like, if I say this person has so much ego, basically what we mean is so much pride, so much arrogance. But ego basically, what it's doing is all these things: protection, safety, certainty, control, all those things. Make sure I belong, make sure people don't abandon me. Now, the third layer of it is the creative adjustment, which means now, because I have to mold myself to fit into the society, to fit into a group, to fit into my tribe so that they don't abandon me, I will, as a child, because as a child, I didn't have any other option, that I didn't have the option to be a rebel and leave my tribe. So the only way for me to survive was this survival adaptation, which is creative adjustments, meaning adaptive survival responses, or survival adaptation. Like I had to phone my parents so that they are pleased with me, even though I didn't like doing that. To keep my safety, I had to phone them, or say I had to fight them so that I can maintain my, what do you call it? They cannot shame me enough. Or flight, if they are too harsh on me, I just run away. If I can't run away physically, I'll run away in my mind and leave the present situation. And this survival adaptation is so that we can, or this is again, ego is playing that role, had to come and protect us, to make sure we are safe, we survive. So that means now we have this creative adaptation, creative adjustments, something that I'm adjusting, and I come up with creative ways so that I can fit into the society, into the role I was given. And an example of that would be repressing painful emotions. It could be that in my house, anger was not acceptable. Anger from a child was not acceptable. It was okay for my father to be angry, but for me to be angry, that wasn't acceptable. So now I repress those painful emotions, meaning anger is there for a reason, to protect us. If somebody crossed our boundary, I have anger to make sure that they understand that they have crossed my boundary. But now they have crossed my boundary. I feel angry. I cannot express my anger. So now this has become my painful emotion. I am not allowed to show my sadness. I always have to smile. I always have to be joyful. There is no room for sadness in the family. Nobody should be sad. Everybody needs to be happy around, say, for example, parents or whoever the caregiver is, because the caregiver doesn't know how to handle sadness, to be present while the child is sad. So now I have to repress all these painful emotions. So repression could be deflecting and keeping ourselves busy and always working and becoming workaholic. So that's another way of creative adjustment, because I cannot face my painful emotion, so I'll keep myself busy. Now, you never have to slow down and feel what's going on in the body if you keep making adjustment, come up with creative adjustments, because slowing down and feeling those emotions is hard. So if I keep myself busy, I don't have to. It could be an addiction that maybe I use to shift my state from boredom to excitement, or sadness to loneliness, or I mean, not loneliness, from sadness or loneliness to feeling happy. So these are creative adjustments. It could also be like desensitizing our body, numbing out, could be withdrawing and going into a flight response, or even pleasing people with appeasing, appeasing strategy, or avoiding the fight strategy. So I don't want to get into a fight. I don't like confrontation. I don't like tough conversation. I don't like to be challenged. I don't like challenging anyone. So I go into people pleasing. Whatever you say, I'll do it. It's easier to do it for me rather than challenge you why you asked me to do that, even though it doesn't make sense to me. So that's pleasing and appeasing. It could be a fight response, showing the middle finger to everybody because they're annoying, and I'm just gonna judge them or blame them, or angrily be angry, point finger at them. So this creative adjustment is this victim identity, victim rage, injustice, and then after injustice, feeling abandoned, not taken care of. I cannot trust anyone. So these are all creative adjustments. Everybody is different. They will use different strategy. And of course, for most of us, the rage gets suppressed. And then it rises up as this kind of worldview, this kinds of belief that seeing the world through a veil of distrust, blame. And these are all protection mechanisms to protect us from feeling the wound that was created long ago. Underneath this protection mechanism, there is so much wound. I don't want to feel that pain again. I don't want to be embarrassed again, shamed again. Or never get angry at all. Just be this nice girl, nice boy, completely split off from anger. And underneath this unconsciousness, there is this fear, grief, and anger. Sometimes I don't know there is anger because I suppress the anger so well that I think I'm never angry. I never get angry. I don't know why. I don't know how people can't control their anger, because I never get angry. That's because I was never allowed to access anger. So now I find it hard to access anger. Or in reverse, it could be I have suppressed anger for so long. Now I just lash out. I can't restrain my anger and speak in a more calm manner, even though I'm angry. Like, it's okay to be angry. I'm not saying it's not okay to be angry. It's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to lash out. So these three outer layers really form our character and our personality, or character and personality that we think is us. And we can very easily unconsciously take that to mean this is who we are. I am an angry person, or I'm a shy person, or I never get angry. I'm a person who never gets angry. So these are all identity. So we have to, when we deal with or go through the trauma processing, emotion processing, it's like an ego death. So we move towards processing or integration of our who we actually are, our core self, and this ideal self. We integrate them through so much resistance. We're kicking and screaming that we don't want to do the work. Even though consciously, logically, I have decided that I want to integrate and I want freedom and I want change. I want a better life. Even though logically we all know that, and that's why you guys are here. But while doing the work, inside we are just screaming, kicking. We want to run away because it is an ego death. It is a threat. Our nervous system perceives it as threat. And that's why so much resistance. And the death of these things that we identify with that aren't really who we are. And it's the journey back to our authenticity, journey back to home, journey back to who we are, journey back to what Allah has sent us with. Joyfulness, creativity, curiosity, aliveness, leadership, which is exploring, wanting to find my way. Classic survival adaptations used to maintain the ego, which is by repression, projection, reaction, and blaming, denial, rationalization. And the more primitive ways are dissociation. We dissociate from our body and go to the mind. Or we numb. These are more primitive ways. Or freezing and shut down. Or splitting from our consciousness. And then people start having multiple personalities. So these are more primitive survival ways, and lesser primitive, newer ways are repression, projection, reaction, blaming, denial, rationalization. Repression is pushing down feelings that we don't want to know, we don't want to feel. And repression, suppression, you can say it's the same thing, almost, at least in this sense. And reaction or reaction formation is when you do the absolute opposite of what you actually want to do. For instance, if you've got a lot of, I wouldn't say you, say somebody has got a lot of sex drive, but because it's shamed, what they might do is they might very secretively either become asexual or have maybe because they are guilted, maybe they come from a strong religious family. So now they become asexual, or they attempt to stop themselves from having sexual feelings. And therefore, they will have a lot of issues in married life. So that means I had a strong inclination towards something, but because it's shamed or not accepted in the society or in my family, I do the total opposite. I repress it so much. So this is like a reaction to what I want. I go total opposite. because it's not acceptable. So that's reaction formation. And then splitting is when you split the good from the bad, and you cannot hold the good and the bad together. It's like it has to be either good or bad. Like I'm a person, I think I have to be either good or bad, and I choose to be good, so I can only be good. Now, if somebody is threatening me, I'm always thinking, how can I be good to this person? Because I think raising my voice, asking them to stop, or getting angry when they are violating the boundary is a bad trait, because I cannot associate that that is not bad when you are violated and you stand up. Or, for example, as a child, um, I cannot fathom that my parents would be bad. But we know, as human being, we all have good traits and bad traits. But as a child, for me, I'm absolutist. You're either good or bad. Now, because you are my parent, you cannot be bad, because if you are bad, then where am I gonna go? Then I'm in danger. So you must be good and I must be bad. And I will always have to adjust to whatever you're asking me to do. And this way, there is this feeling of disintegration to my authentic self. It's very common early adaptation to trauma. For example, if you've got a violent or frightening parent, you might split the bad part of the parent off and just try to see the good part in order to survive, feel safe. And then the other type is projection, is another survival adaptation. So projection is when you project parts of yourself onto others that you don't want to own in yourself. So, or it could also be you identify yourself as that, and you only see that part in everybody. So you think you're a good person, so everybody in this world is a good person, and you only try to see the good parts in people. And it doesn't make sense when somebody is bad. How can somebody be this bad? I just don't understand. And even though they have shown you over and over again that they are not trustworthy, they are harming you, you still keep going back because you are projecting yourself onto them. Sometimes projection is, I always think people have bad intention for me. It could be because I have bad intention for other people. So it's projection. Whatever I see in myself, I also see in you. Or whatever I reject in myself and don't see in myself, I see it in you. And I feel triggered. How can you be so bad? Because I suppress my bad part. For example, to me, it might be hard to say no to somebody's request. So I will resentfully say yes. But if I see somebody else saying no to the same person, even though I wanted to say no and I didn't have the courage to say no, but when I see somebody else saying no to the same request, I feel like that was so rude. Why? Because I suppressed it in myself so much, because I think it's so bad. Now, when you say no to protect your boundary, I am thinking through my lens that saying no is bad. So even though you did the right thing, for me, now you are a bad person. So whatever I don't see in myself, when I see it in you, it triggers me. Also, whatever I identify myself with, I see it in everybody. And either way, it's not functional if I can only see this or see that. Instead of the reality of human being is they can be good, they can be bad. Yeah, so it might be like if you're a person who shows vulnerability very easily, then I might feel that that's so weak because I think I'm very strong and I don't have any needs. I'm needless. I'm very independent. Everyone else is so needy. Oh my God, I just can't deal with it. So everybody else have this quality of vulnerability except me, because I am better, because I think vulnerability is weak and I think everybody is weak. So see how that works out, projection. And these are some of the basic defenses that we use to maintain, to keep our unconscious in the unconscious, so that it doesn't come out and take a lot of our energy. And that is the job of the ego, to keep the unconscious in the unconscious, to keep the unconscious in the dark, in the hidden. And it does that, as we said, for a very good reason, to protect us. Because whatever is in the unconscious is terrifying, is painful, very difficult, overwhelming. So the ego keeps a lead on those unconscious forces. So these are all the three outer layers, and they keep our unconscious out of our awareness. And a psychotic person is always drowning in the unconscious. But navigating the unconscious is our journey. Navigating or claiming back what was suppressed, what was repressed, what was not allowed in the childhood, claiming back those parts of us, those God-given beautiful parts of us, is the journey. So these are the top layer or the surface layer of unconscious, operating from our personality without any awareness, on automatic, on autopilot. Our internal commentary, our worries, our planning, our judgment, our ruminations about the past. So we are stuck in our past. We are so lost, or fearful of the future. So we are so lost in our thoughts and our feelings, we blended with them completely, with this. And there is no witnessing, there is no realizing that my emotions are separate than my identity. My emotions are not my identity. I am not an angry person. I can manage my anger. I can let anger flow through me without acting out or without suppressing. So the work is to become aware of all these things, to bring that to our consciousness. That's the healing work. And then there are deeper layers underneath these three. Is our personal unconscious, is often our core belief, our worldview, belief about the world, belief about the people. And this would also include being unconscious of our adaptive survival strategies, not knowing that we are doing this. Survival strategies like repression, dissociation, appeasing, fighting, fleeing various situations. So all these biological adaptations to perceived threat. And often the work is to become conscious of these adaptive survival patterns. Why am I doing this? This is my pattern. This is what I do every time. And understand how they serve us. How are they keeping us safe? Where they come from? What's their job? And what is it costing me now? It definitely helped me survive my childhood, but what is it costing me now? It's costing me my family, my love life, my job, my health. Then ask yourself, are these survival adaptation, do we have to necessarily continue to use this pattern now that we are adults for our survival? So we have to become conscious of these patterns, how we keep shutting down, numbing out, disconnecting or deflecting. Another layer, if we go a bit deeper into the shadow and start to surface one of the core beliefs that we carry about ourselves, about others, and about the world, and is a working model of the world that is often unconscious and drives attention, our motivation, our behavior, choices, and value. And when we turn our attention towards these core beliefs, now we are powerful. Now we can change it. Now we can see. Now we have choice. And connected to this layer of the unconscious is our unfinished business, our core fears, our yearnings, our desires that we had as a child, wasn't allowed to express. Our core primary feelings that we had to dissociate from and repress and numb out and split off as a result of this early trauma and lack of support to stay connected to ourselves. So often when we slow down to become more present and become more aware, what we will eventually start to surface is our unconscious feelings that we never metabolized, we never experienced and let it go. These are either grief, fear, rage, shame, all these unacceptable emotions or many variations of those feelings. And these are primary feelings. And then we have secondary emotions that we use to keep all these at bay, these primary more vulnerable emotions. Like we get angry instead of feeling scared, or we go into sadness to avoid feeling our anger. Secondary emotions that we use to avoid and disconnect from our primary emotions that don't fit our conscious identity. Yeah, so say if I identified myself as a kind person, and as I start doing my healing journey and I have to feel the rage, feel my anger, it doesn't really sit well with me in the beginning, because I instantly would go to intellectualizing, cognitive processing, rationalizing, trying to understand, which is again another adaptive survival response. And as we become more and more conscious of our survival adaptations, responses, and we go deeper, often the core matter will come up, which is our core beliefs, our fears, our unfinished businesses, our unmet longings. And every time you go into a relationship, we will always attract a person who will reflect back to us, hold the mirror, or shine light, or trigger us, however you put it, to show us where we need to do the work. Unless we do the work and come out better handling the work, we will keep attracting the same sort of people who will put light, shed light at the same spot where I need to work. And if I keep avoiding doing the work, I'll keep attracting the same person. If I do the work, then I don't attract the same person anymore. Now I attract another level up who will maybe show me where else I need to work. So does that mean I'm just gonna go from relation to relationship who's gonna shine the light and I keep growing? Not necessarily. And that relationship is not necessarily only romantic relationship. If you do the work, you know what kind of person to allow in your life so that they are also in their journey and you co-regulate, you co-parent each other's inner child. Instead of one person saying, you do whatever you want, you do the healing work. I'm not going to do the healing work. I don't need healing. This is hocus pocus. I don't believe in this. You do whatever you want. So part of moving into the unconscious is becoming aware of all those things and learn to build holding capacity from our wise adult self for ourselves and for others, and to be able to stay present with these core feelings and charges, as well as the nervous system dysregulation that many people carry at the core of their nervous system because of the trauma that's underneath the freeze and the numbness. And often a lot of dysregulated nervous system survival energy that's just trapped in the system. So that's another aspect of the unconscious that we have to learn to face. And a lot of us don't want to face it. I have a client right now. I'm trying to do, the therapy exercises with him, and he doesn't want to face his childhood trauma. A lot of resistance. And all this trauma, it doesn't have to be anything big. It can be as simple as my caregiver, my parent, didn't make eye contact with me as a child. Because with eye contact, it's attunement, understanding each other. It's you respect me, you love me, but if you don't look at me, the subconscious message as a child I got would be, I'm not important. Or it could be that my parents were so angry that looking at their eyes made me feel unsafe or threatening. Remember the look our parents used to give us to make us behave, and a cold shiver will run down our spine, and we behaved. And that might lead to that I don't want to be seen. Or shame might lead to I don't want to be seen. And then I want a close, an intimate relationship. But whenever I get too close, I feel like my partner will see me, and that will make me feel so unsafe. So I will always keep a distance, not open up, not be vulnerable, always maintain a distance. So I'll never enjoy a deep relationship with my partner. Very much a surface relationship. But then I will be very dissatisfied in the relationship, that as if something is missing. I don't want to be seen because I feel threatened, and I don't know that I don't want to be seen. But a very core need of a person is we want to be seen, we want to be heard. So see how 180-degree opposite. I want to be seen, but I don't want to be seen. Now that is a conflict. Then there could be something we get triggered by from the environment, like someone who doesn't give us eye contact as an adult, as I mentioned. Then it might trigger that I don't matter. And now I'm furious that somebody didn't show me respect. Somebody didn't take time to look at me and talk to me. And now I lash out. So I have this unfinished business of feeling rejected and hurt and grief-stricken and feeling of shame. So I have to process those things. So when we so what will happen very quickly is we will go to those outer layers to protect ourselves, the adaptive survival responses. Could be I'm getting angry, or it could be I'm taking alcohol or eating all the time to numb out my feelings. And then trying to get back to my ideal self, or being whatever that is, an easygoing, laid-back person, or whatever I identify as myself. So the core last layers, the deficient emptiness, is often what people experience when they go deeper into their unconscious, because they start to come up against all the parts of themselves that had to be shut down. And because they weren't attuned to whether it's our strength or our will, our love, or a sense of value, and those parts are natural, essential parts of us, we become disconnected from all this as a result of trauma and lack of attunement and responsiveness. So there is this experiment done, and it's on YouTube as well. This child, the mom is talking to the child, like, I think the child is probably like an infant almost, probably 3 months, 4 months, sort of. And the child and the mom are attuned. Mom is looking, the child is being playful, mom is responsive. Seeing the mom's respond, the child is responsive. So they are attuned with each other. And then mom suddenly stops making eye contact or stops showing any reaction, total cold face, no responsiveness. Child tries to gain her attention. And then after a few attempts, the child realizes there is no point. So they disconnect. Now the attunement is gone. So it's like a hole in the psyche where we lose connection to these innate qualities like strength, power, will, aliveness, curiosity. So now there is this emptiness. We feel this emptiness because these qualities we cannot connect with anymore. Because our strength, our will, our willpower our aliveness, our curiosity was all cut short, cut down, chopped off as a child. Why are you going to that corner? There is ghost there. It's dark there. It's dangerous there. Don't go. Meaning, don't be so curious and try and find out what is there. So curiosity now cut down. Our willpower, when we showed anger, when we showed it was not okay, when we showed we wanted to do this or get this, that wasn't allowed. And often when we start working with our unfinished business, we feel our feelings. There is this feeling of feeling empty, feeling of hollowness, feeling deficient, void, because we feel the absence of these authentic qualities of our beingness. The ego structure develops as a defense to free from that kind of emptiness. So because I don't want to feel deficient, I don't want to feel not powerful, I don't want to feel that I'll be curious and people will stop me from my curiosity, my aliveness, my willpower, my strength. What I will do is develop this ego so that now I don't have to feel this emptiness inside me, because that gives me anxiety. Something's missing and I don't know what it is. And so now I will fill this void up with everything else so that I don't have to feel my feelings, feel those emptiness. And doing the work means you fill it up with thoughts and sensations. Let's just stop and let's just be there with this whole. Let's just sit right there with this whole, with this emptiness. And when we do that, the sense of peace comes. You just stay with the whole. You don't judge it, you don't react to it. And you feel supported by yourself, supported by whoever is witnessing you, your therapist, or your, if you have a partner who is also doing the work, so you co-regulate. The whole will then transform into a quality of presence that will that was part of your true nature. It will come back again with you and reconnect to you will be able to reconnect to your authenticity. So you come to understanding, and you come to understand peace, not as something you acquire, but the absence of the struggle that was there before, or the absence of these identity pieces that we have created. And then we unveil the pieces that were in the emptiness, or they were gone. We felt they were gone. So instead of going into our mind and thinking who we should be, or what we should be, or how we should be, so peace is the absence of things that we have developed, that we have adopted. It's not the addition of anything. Like if I if I get this, if I get that, if I get that, that will give me peace. No, it's the absence, getting rid of all this ideal self, the inner critic, letting go of all those struggles. So as you go do the processing work, you see all the layers of your psyche, and as you see through it, you identify from it and recognize that this is not the core of who I am. That's just a feeling. That's a result of my conditioning and my history. And as these emotions, or as this identity or this ego gets metabolized, gets felt, the psyche purifies, becomes more integrated, and then there is this presence of authenticity at the core of us, and it starts to shine, and we start to become, or we start to come back home to ourselves, to our authentic selves, and feel the aliveness and vitality and peace and all the qualities of our psyche. We start to have access to them again, our core self. But often we have to work through these layers of psyche in order to really experience presence in a more wholesome, ongoing way. There is a quote of Rumi. It goes like, your job is not to seek out love, but to remove all the obstacles to love. So we tend to go and seek out love, find the right person, find the person who'd love me, or adjust myself so that the person would love me. No, remove the obstacles to love. When the sun gets blocked by clouds, we don't create a new sun. We remove the cloud and see the sun that's already there. So when we remove all this outer layer of the psyche, all this ego, then we see the real us. And that's the process of personal development. It's a process of subtraction rather than addition. But the world teaches us add, acquire. Another thing in our unconscious is our repressed instincts, desires, and impulses that don't match our conscious identity, that would be threatening to our I boundaries, like I as in I am this I boundaries, my identity boundaries. That could be the impulse to be violent. Our instinctual animal impulses, which can be very biological and to the civilized, socialized psyche, feel very threatened around all of these potentials that exist in the unconscious of human psyche. And they will often come up in dreams then, violent impulses, sexual impulses that we think will be judged for. So those will start coming up as dreams. And as if through dreams we act those out. And the more we can become aware of these instincts, be present with them, then we can start to transform them and tame them, and they become more naturally integrated to our psyche. And then there is golden shadow, which is all the parts of ourselves that represent our capacity and our good qualities, like our intelligence or our courage, our brilliance, kindness. Sometimes we don't feel comfortable owning them. If somebody say, I'm intelligent, oh no, I'm not intelligent. You are more intelligent than I am. or no, I'm not courageous. You are more courageous. So I feel some sort of shame in owning them because it doesn't match our conscious identity. For example, if my conscious identity is being deficient, dumb person, then what could be in my shadow is our capacity for brilliance. So I have the capacity for brilliance, but that's been overshadowed. I don't see it, so I act as a dumb person. And what is in the shadow is our ability to shine. So sometimes what's in the unconscious, it's not just the negative shadow or the painful, difficult thoughts and the feelings and impulses, but also our amazing capacities, our will, our courage and strength. So that becomes in the shadow. We compensate into the contrast. And it doesn't matter what it is, our conscious identity becomes the contrast of what's unconscious by the suppressor, or intellectual potentials for violence or being nasty and angry. So that is there, that's just suppressed. So integrating the shadow is essential, to integrate both. And that's how we find our authenticity and use them in balance. Like, for example, you know, the superheroes, or say Elsa, she has a power and she doesn't know how to use it. So in the beginning, she's very destructive because whenever she's using her power, everything it gets destroyed. So our authenticity is also like that. If we don't use it functionally, those can destroy things. So if we don't access and express our anger functionally, that can damage a lot of things. And shame is the biggest superego and is the biggest barrier to going into our unconscious. So shame will stop us from digging into our unconscious. So that's that. That is a long one. Yeah. Yeah. So we have to bring the presence, because without the presence, there is only emptiness, deficient emptiness. So in the core of healing is presence, being present, and also in the core of your psyche is to be present, because when our parents were not present to us, present to our emotions, present to our needs, present to our yearnings, present to our fears, that became the source of our core belief. And then we had to come up with creative adjustments. And these creative adjustments now made us believe this is my identity, this is who I am. And now I have this ideal self, living in this ideal self with this inner critic constantly judging us. All right, exercise time. Again, these are the areas of life. Within the area of life, what is your core, what is your goal in each area? What do you want to achieve? Put that in. What is your limiting belief? Meaning I give. Belief about self and others. Belief about maybe family, finance, in each category. What are my fears and challenges to achieve my goal? And then what is it costing me if I don't achieve it? If I still hang on to my fears, hang on to my beliefs, what is it costing me? So create this goal as if anything is possible, and as if your success to achieve this goal was a given, guaranteed. So put that goal and then check what your limiting beliefs are, and then fears and challenge. So for example, you can take this, take a screenshot of this. I have put some example. I'm not worthy of love. The fear is fear of rejection. If I was to achieve my goal, I have to take what steps, face what challenges, and what fears do I have to face? I have to face fear of rejection. And the cost, if I don't do the work, what is the cost? I'll stay in this. I'll be lonely because I believe I'm not worthy of love. So I will date and date and date, but it never gets to a very fulfilling or relationship, or doesn't last long because I end up leaving that relationship. It could be fear of closeness. If I get too close, they will know who I am. And I don't want them to know who I am, because I deeply inside, I'm so shameful of who I am. So the cost is continuous unfulfilling relationship or loneliness. So there's a lot more examples given so that it's easy for you to understand. And now you will also need the list of deficient belief as well, or belief that's not working out for you. So let's take maybe one area of life and just do that, whichever one you choose. And then the rest you can do it at your own time. So let's take 5 minutes for that, and then we'll have a chat. Take a screenshot. All right, I'm stopping the share. All right, come offline. I always get this wrong. Come off camera, like come on camera. I don't know what I'm talking. Put your camera on. Unmute yourself. Yeah. So, any questions, clarification, something that you're resonating with? What are you taking away? You some sort of get what the psyche is, what we are made of, what are each of the layers.
For me, I feel like disconnected because of the past trauma now. And I always put, like, I treat, um, I try, now what happens is like I try to uh, treat other person, like try to understand their perspective first. And that's how I'm missing my own, um, I'm missing my own needs, I
Mm.
think.
Yeah, understanding other person's perspective doesn't have to be like, because I understand other person's perspective, I don't attend to my need. I understand why they are doing what they are doing, but if they are not safe for me, I can still keep a distance. Does that make sense? Just because I understand their bad behavior doesn't mean I'm going to put myself there for people to abuse me. Does that make sense? I
Yeah,
understand
but
this.
that's how I feel disconnected at the same time. Like, I
Mm,
don't feel like getting connected
mm-hmm,
because I feel like it's too much for me.
mm-hmm,
But at the same time, if I put my needs first,
mm-hmm,
then I feel like, okay, maybe then I'm not working on myself. I'm being selfish, too
mm,
selfish, and
mm,
try to understand others' perspective. But when I'm trying to understand others' perspective, that's how I'm missing
mm,
my needs and I feel disconnected. So that
mm.
part is challenging for me at the
So
moment.
when you say you feel disconnected, what does that mean for you?
Means like any kind of situation or any kind of like any relationship with my or like parents or friends.
Mm-hmm,
I like um I don't feel like anything about the conflict, or I don't want them to see, like I don't know what I'm saying. um it's just I don't feel like expressing any kind of things now, whatever I feel,
mm-hmm. So you feel disconnected from self, or you feel disconnected with the person?
with the person and from myself as well.
Okay, all right. We might have to do a little bit of work on that one. But for everybody else, I can, in general, say if somebody is being abusive to me, physically, emotionally, psychologically, financially, sexually, whatever that is,
Mm,
I can understand their behavior and their perspective, why they are doing what they are doing, and not maybe, you know, um, blame them, judge them. But at the same time, I can protect myself and not be in that abusive situation and maintain a distance, a safe distance. And still maintaining a safe distance, if I need to help them, if they need my help, maintaining the distance, I can do as much as I can do for them. Does that make sense?
mm,
Yeah, you have to now make sure you maintain you protect your safety. You protect yourself financially, physically, psychologically, emotionally, sexually, whatever, in whatever realm you need to protect yourself, you maintain that through distance.
mm,
And then if they need help, you help them from a distance. You are helping them because you understand their situation. You're helping them because you're compassionate to them. Does that make sense? But the compassion and understanding doesn't mean I'm going to put myself in unsafety. Now, you guys probably have done first aid a million of times because of whatever job you're doing. Now, the first thing when we see a situation where we might have to give first aid is what? Is that, are you safe to approach the person?
mm,
Is other people safe from this person? is safety there. Unless it's safe for you to approach, you don't approach and help. You want to help. You understand their situation. You have empathy for them. You can see they need help. But if they're not safe for you, you don't approach them. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yes.
Yeah. What happens with us a lot of the times is because we are so empathetic. When we see somebody in distress, we want to help. We want to understand their situation, and they give us a story which we understand, which we feel, which we empathize with. We feel like, oh, poor them. Yeah. And we want to help. We want to be with them. We think by being with them, we are being their friend, we are helping them. But if they are not being safe towards me, I will help only as much as I can from a distance. If the help requires me to come closer, I won't. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Maghrib is overdue. I have to go. Sorry, Ishan, because I'll be talking to you tomorrow. Inshallah, if you have any question, we can,
Okay.
what do you call it? We can address them tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Assalamu
Thank you.
alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.